Make or break candidates for 2023. Let's talk about 5 individuals that, of course, we all want to have good seasons, but these 5 guys especially really need to have a good season, and it includes some pretty notable names and maybe some names you're not expecting. But one of the obvious ones is Russell Wilson. Now, I could almost make the argument that he doesn't even need to have a make or break caliber season, because when you look at Russell Wilson's dead cap hit for the next couple of years, the duration of his contract, of course, there's no moving on from him with a $107 million cap hit this year. And I even argue next year, $85 million is just not going to get eaten, right? The NFL record right now was Matt Ryan going to the Colts, and that was a $45 million-ish dead cap hit. This would be double that, and then some. So, no, I'm not going to be a big believer in Russell Wilson is out of Denver if he's not good in 2023. Financially, unless the Walton Penners want to eat a lot of dead money and make life very difficult for their GM with an $85 million dead cap hit on their books, I think he's kind of stuck in Denver for the next 2 years if things don't bounce back this upcoming season. So, scenario for you guys here, if Russell Wilson does not vastly improve, I think that won't take him off the roster, but I think that might kickstart his replacement process. Now, maybe they already kind of did that with Jarrett Stidham. I know this is big rain cloud talk on Russ, and obviously the goal is for Russell Wilson to be great this upcoming season. That's what we all want here, but we do have to acknowledge the possibility of what if this is just Russell Wilson now, and that wasn't a fluke last year. We can all blame it on Hackett. So I think he is stuck in Denver, come hella high water for 2023 and 2024, unless he, I don't even know how to describe it, unless he agrees to rip up his contract because he'll be a backup for some rookie they draft. But last year was not glamorous for Russ. 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. At least he threw more touchdowns than bathrooms in his house. But there has to be an improvement for Russ if he wants to not remain in Denver, but I think remain as the starting quarterback in Denver, right? That is the big difference. That's why he's on this list. I think he is going to be a Denver Bronco for the next 2 years, guaranteed, but he might not be the starting quarterback if things don't improve this season. So what do you guys think? Will Sean Payton fix Russell Wilson? This is the big question. There are a lot of questions this year. This is the most important one. If Denver wants to make any kind of noise in 2023, this has to be a yes. So give me your best guess. Give me your gut reaction down below in the comment section. I am going to pump up Russ for a moment here and fill up his tires and say he is prime for a comeback player of the year candidate. Is he not? If Sean Payton comes in here and turns those 16 touchdowns to 26 touchdowns, and he throws for 4,000 yards, and there's no other quarterback coming off a major injury, maybe Lamar Jackson, still, I think going from Nathaniel Hackett to Sean Payton is a huge upgrade. That's going to get lost on a lot of people. He is right there for a bounce-back season. Hopefully that's the case because this team needs it. Second make-or-break candidate is Courtland Sutton, a name we have talked about a ton this offseason, and it's not even so much about his play, it's the financial side of things here. I know we are looking way ahead, but just bear with me for a moment. The 2024 cap hits for the 3 leading wide receivers on this team are all very high. I mean, we're talking 17 plus 13, $30 million, and then add an extra $12 million, 42, 43-ish million dollars. Like, there is a lot of money in this wide receiver room, and it's a very expensive group. And if Courtland Sutton does not live up to a $17.3 million cap hit, Denver could be looking to save some money because they are currently in the red for 2024. So if they were to move on from him before June 1st of next year, and I know we're looking way ahead here, but GMs always look way ahead. His cap savings is $9.6 million, and then they could split that dead cap hit if they wanted to release him after June 1st. So for Courtland Sutton, it's a boomer bust season, right? I think he's either going to be a 1,000-yard receiver or he is packing his bags, and they are turning to Jerry Jeudy and Marvin Mims moving forward, right? I think they are going to go younger and reset and not have a $17 million cap hit wide receiver for a guy who put up, let's say, 800 yards and like 4 or 5 touchdowns. He's got to really break out and show that he was worth that extension. Otherwise, unfortunately, Sutton's time in Denver could be coming to an end. Now, we're going to look at 3 more candidates in just a moment, but we have a sub battle going on with our Chiefs channel here, and I was pulling up the YouTube numbers, and so far this week, we have picked up 101 subscribers, so shout out to all of our new subscribers, but the Chiefs report is right on our tails, and unfortunately, Kansas City has dominated Denver in AFC football for the better half of a half decade now, more than that at this point. So if you're tired of losing to Kansas City, let's start stacking some victories up now and bring that momentum into the season. Hit that sub button down below to beat the Chiefs, and in return, you get free Broncos YouTube content. My third make or break candidate is Randy Gregory. This one is an obvious one, right? For a lot of reasons. But the first thing is the financial side of things here, because I know Randy Gregory got a 5-year, $70 million contract, but only $28 million was guaranteed. So they can get out relatively easily if they wanted to. Like, if they were to cut him like Courtland Sutton before June 1st of 2024, the cap hit, by the way, is $16 million. That's not a small number. His dead cap hit, though, would just be $6 million. Teams will eat $6 million, no problem. Like, that's not too big of a number to stomach. The cap savings is $10 million. So if you don't see these numbers from 2022 have a complete turnaround, instead of playing in 6 games and putting up 2 sacks last year, Randy Gregory, he needs to pump these numbers up, because we'll show you what he did last year for Denver, and these numbers need to balloon if Denver's going to keep him on their books for a $16 million cap hit if he is still a player who cannot be available for at least a majority of the games. We'll start there. And then also be this team's #1 edge rusher. Like, that was the decision George Payton made. It kind of came down, it felt like, to Randy Gregory or Von Miller. We'll never quite be sure how in Denver was on bringing back Von Miller. But ultimately, Randy Gregory was George Payton's #1 free agent target, right? That's who he broke the bank for. He has to have a breakout season this season if he wants to stick around at Mile High. So for me, I'm putting the bar at 8 sacks, or Randy Gregory is a 2-year Denver Bronco, and that is it. $16.1 million is just too big of a cap hit to give out to someone who, let's say, plays 8-9 games again, right, and doesn't put up big numbers. So for me, it's 8 sacks, or Randy Gregory is packing his bags. Now, who do you think will lead Denver in sacks this year? I think I'm going to stick by my prediction for the last couple of weeks. Frank Clark, the guy's always available, essentially, has not missed much time in his career, and he's a very productive player, too. So I'm going to go with Frank Clark because I think he's probably going to play the most amount of games for anyone in this edge rushing unit. Baron Browning's going to enter training camp injured. Randy Gregory is always in the trainer's office. So for me, I'll go with Frank Clark. Fourth make or break person I'm looking at is Garett Bolles. So the left tackle has made some good progress on his recovery from a fractured leg, keep in mind, mid-year last year. But the fact is, Garett Bolles has been a bit of a seesaw left tackle for this team. First round pick out of Utah in 2017, really struggled with the holding and false starts in his career, was constantly getting flagged early on. But 2020, a good time for a breakout year. In his 4th year, they gave him a big contract extension, and then he slowly started reverting back to his early days of his career, at least in the eyes of PFF. So if Denver doesn't see an improvement from Garett Bolles, well, his cap hit in 2024 is $20 million, and the cap savings are $16 million. So this is another guy where if Denver doesn't see a big jump up, don't be shocked if there's not a bounce-back season for Bolles. Denver's first-round pick for the first time since Pat Surtain is going to be a new left tackle, because they didn't get one last year because they didn't pick early enough to find one of those coveted tackles. But if they get back in the first round this year, which they are currently slated to do, won't be surprised if they decide to save $16 million and then draft a new left tackle who they can have under a rookie contract for up to 5 seasons. Now, left tackles are cornerstone pieces. You don't really want to play with them too much, right? You like to find something long-term. So if Bolles looks good, they might be happy with eating $20 million of cap hit, even if he doesn't live up to that contract. But if he does not bounce back well, I'm not going to be shocked if they're moving on from him to save some money and go younger at the position, and maybe honestly even just better altogether. Fifth and final make or break candidate for 2023. Yeah, you probably saw this one coming. It's Lloyd Cushenberry. This one, in my opinion, speaks for itself. It's not make or break for Cush in Denver. Unfortunately, it's make or break for Cush in his entire NFL career. Like Dalton Risner, as we record this right now, Tuesday afternoon, during our live show, tune in next Tuesday, he's still unsigned. And Dalton Risner was a good guard. Now, I'm not quite sure why Risner has not been signed yet. I saw a pretty, maybe it's got some legs to it because it's June, he still has not been signed, but a pretty out there idea of teams aren't happy of the way he pushed Brett Rippon, and they don't want that in their locker room. I never got that sense from Dalton Risner. He was an awesome guy for this team, but ultimately just wanted to go a different direction with Ben Powers. But the point is, for Cushenberry, this is a career year for him. If he gets a chance to start at center, he needs to show that he can continue to play in the NFL, because right now he is closer to ending his career than getting a big contract after this upcoming season. Before we get on out of here, we got a super chat from our live show. I just want to give some shout outs to and give some credit to Moses Sarabia. If Russ isn't top 10, do we trade up to get Caleb? Really difficult to answer that question without knowing exactly where Denver is picking. I mean, Carolina jumped from 9 to 1, and it cost them a lot. If Denver is not bottom 10, and let's hope they're not, if they're picking, let's say, like 15, I mean, that is like 3 future first players. That's a huge haul to get up to where Caleb Williams is probably going to go at number 1. So unless Denver has a horrible rash of injuries and they are towards the bottom yet again, I'm going to say it's unlikely, but I don't know how many Panthers fans saw them getting Bryce Young midway through last year. So you never quite know. Appreciate the super chat, though, Moses. Thank you so much. And hey, if you made it to the end of the video, type me down below in the comment section. It's always good to see who the diehards here are at the channel, so I can get a good pulse, a good sense of the real ones and the MVPs of the Broncos Breakdown.